Rodgers gets the snap. Blitz is on. Rodgers scrambles left, winds up Rainbow.
Cobb.
He's got Cobb at the 10 to the 5
Yes!
to the end zone. Touchdown and a dagger. Oh my goodness. An NFC North Division Championship dagger.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to Real Packers Talk, the podcast dedicated to everything green and gold. I am your host, Ethan Peltier. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Real Packers Talk. And I'm here today with my Week 9 reactions and analysis. Packers lose 9-15 against the Detroit Lions on the road, dropping their 5th straight. And I'm here to break it down for you. As a quick little preface, this is not going to be a fun episode. I don't know. I'm starting to lose faith in this team slowly but surely. Unfortunately, I'm not sure that this is our year. I think that there are a lot of problems, and ones that I initially thought could be fixed. But it seems that this team just has no fight in them. I brought up a couple episodes ago that this team really doesn't know how to respond to adversity, and once again, Sunday was proof of that. They scored 9 points against the worst defense in football. I don't really know what to say about that. Actually, I have plenty to say about that. I'm going to get into it. I'm just kind of rambling on here. But I did want to preface it with, this is just going to be kind of a doom and gloom episode, especially if you're a Packers fan. So I am sorry, but I have to keep it real. Hence the name of the podcast. I'm going to keep it real with y'all. But without further ado, I'm just going to jump into some narratives that I noticed or key moments in the game. And I just want to break it down. I'll get into stats and all of that other great stuff. So stay tuned. Before I get into any stats or anything like that, I just want to say that I don't think that this loss is on the defense. And honestly, you can probably say that about a bunch of our losses this year. It's simply not on the defense. They did their job. They held their opponent under, however many scores. And the offense just could not capitalize when needed. And this was just another great example of this. I mean, the Packers defense played lights out for a majority of this game. Yeah, they gave up 2 long drives, both which resulted in touchdowns. But hey, it's the NFL. That's going to happen. They're also going against the number 3 ranked offense, a team that scores on average 30 points at home, and they held them to 15. So props to the defense. They played pretty well. The offense, on the other hand, had just an abysmal performance. There was a tweet that came out from Packers beat writer Andy Herman. Basically, to sum it up, there were 5 separate drives that the Packers had within the Lions' 25-yard line. Some that were, within the 10-yard line, right? 5 separate drives. 1st and 10 or goal to go inside the 25. And of those 5 drives, the Packers scored a total of 3 points. 5 drives inside the 25-yard line. That's like automatic field goal range. And you come away with 3 points. Just awful. Aaron Rodgers had just an awful performance. He ended up throwing 3 interceptions, 2 of which were on the goal line. And they were not good picks. They were ugly picks. These were picks that I don't know that I've seen Aaron Rodgers throw before. Just a lack of focus from everyone on the offensive side of the ball. And I think you can even extend that to the coaching as well. And I know this is a topic that we've discussed before, but man, what on earth is going on inside 1265 Lombardi right now? It just does not seem like Matt LaFleur and Aaron Rodgers have this figured out, which is really crazy because if you go back 2 years ago or a couple seasons ago, they had the number 1 offense in football. Now I know that, a lot's changed then. We don't have Devontae Adams anymore, but to see this drastic of a change is just absolutely absurd. And again, I mentioned earlier in this episode that these initial problems that I started to see, I figured, okay, these are small issues that you can fix. It's early in the season. There's still plenty of time to get this figured out. But damn it, we're midway through the season now, and we're still dealing with issues that most other teams figured out by training camp. It's embarrassing, and it's very hard to watch. And, look, there's a lot of blame to throw around, but, and which I will certainly do. I'm certainly going to point fingers in this episode. But yeah, definitely offense is just not pulling their weight right now, and it's definitely showing. Once again, I will mention, they were going against the number 32 ranked defense, a defense that has been statistically, one of the worst. And they scored 9 points. Just embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. The first thing that I want to kind of touch on as far as, the problems is the discipline. The Packers have been getting penalized a lot lately. In this game alone, they were penalized 8 times for 81 yards. And a lot of those penalties came in crucial moments in the game. Moments like, I don't know, a 3rd and long that the Lions have where you give them basically a free first down because you committed a silly hands to the face or a holding or a whatever it is. Just, they shot themselves in the foot way too many times on both sides of the ball. I mean, on defense, they were basically giving up first downs when they should have been making stops. And then the offense was stalling out. Anytime they had a big play, it would get called back for holding. It's just this is not winning football. And I just don't think you can blame the refs for that. The refs are going to throw the flags. That's just part of the game. The other team's going to get penalized too. But, man, the Packers have just lacked any sort of discipline. And it's hard to watch. I'm used to a well-coached, well-disciplined football team. I'm not used to the other way around where we're the ones who are giving up the dumb penalties and we're the ones who are essentially shooting ourselves in the foot over and over and over again until our offense is basically, it just can't do anything. It's completely obsolete, right? It's just not a winning formula. So yes, the discipline is definitely an issue. Another issue that we've been really struggling with as of late as well is just injuries. I mean, in this game alone, I'm just going to name off some of the players that went down for the Packers. Romeo Doubs, very first drive. Bakhtiari went down and missed most of the game. He did come back for the last drive, but, I mean, it seems like he'll play a drive or two, and then they sit him out for the rest of the game. If he's not ready to go, why risk it, is my question. Rashawn Gary, I heard a report that he may have torn his ACL. That's just absolutely just awful news. You never want to hear that, and especially when he happens to be our best pass rusher. Eric Stokes also went down early in this game. And those are just a couple names. We've already been dealing with a ton of injuries. I mean, Devondre Campbell missed this game. Randall Cobb's on IR. Christian Watson has been in and out. This team simply cannot afford to deal with these injuries right now, but yet it seems like we're just dropping like flies. So that, I mean, it does factor into everything. But again, as I mentioned in last week's episode, or the preview leading up to this game, this is the perfect opportunity for young guys to step up and make big plays. Now, I did think that Keyshawn Nixon stepped in pretty nicely for Eric Stokes. Now, he did get called for a penalty here or there. But look, that's going to happen. As I said earlier, injuries are a part of the game. You just have to deal with it. But it just doesn't seem like the Packers have the depth. It doesn't seem like we're prepared to deal with this amount of injuries, especially at this point in the season. And, I mean, everyone deals with them, but, man, it seems like we got the injury bug this year, and it's just spreading like wildfire, which you hate to see. I did say going into this week that I thought that this was an absolute must-win game. It's a divisional opponent. It's a weaker team. Yes, you're on the road, but you should have beat this team. And the Packers just dropped the ball. I know that they struggle, at least since Matt LaFleur has been our head coach. I know that we've struggled playing in Detroit, but, man, they got to win at some point, right? You have to win a football game. especially when it's against your divisional rival, one that's 1-6, one that has historically an awful defense. Like how can you not be better prepared for this game? Again, not taking anything away from the Detroit Lions. I'm just disappointed that my team has been playing really, really, really bad this year. But before I get into the rest of the game stats and other just topics that I wanted to touch on, I do want to let you know that there will be another brief intermission. Now, I have been told by some of the listeners that they did not hear an ad in the last episode. I'm not really sure how it all works just yet. So for the time being, I'm just going to have moments in my episodes where there's going to be basically little pauses or breaks so that I can insert ads eventually. So if you just hear nothing, if there's no ad, don't worry about that. I just want to give y'all a heads up. So I will be right back after this brief break. And we're back. So now I'm going to jump into some game stats. I'm going to start with the Detroit Lions. Jared Goff went 14 for 26, throwing for 2 touchdowns and an interception. Jamal Williams, the former Packer, had 24 carries for 81 yards. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 4 catches for 55 yards. And then both James Mitchell and Shane Zylstra scored their first touchdowns. They're both rookies, I believe. And then Kirby Joseph, who's also a rookie, had 2 interceptions off Rodgers, as well as a pass breakup that surely saved a touchdown. For the Packers, Aaron Rodgers went 23 for 43, throwing for a touchdown and 3 interceptions. A.J. Dillon had 11 carries for 34 yards. Aaron Jones had 9 for 25. I forgot to mention earlier that Aaron Jones also did go down, and he did miss like a majority of this game, which like that sucks as well. You never want to see that. Allen Lazard had 4 catches for 87 yards and a pretty crazy touchdown grab. And then Jair Alexander had that sole interception off Jared Goff, which he just perfectly read the route and broke on it and the receiver never even saw him. So just an absolute veteran heads-up play from Jair. He's been playing pretty well this season. One of the few bright spots to point to. But yeah, as I said earlier, I just don't think that we can blame this loss on the defense. They held, as I said before, a team that scores on average 30 at home to 15. They held them to 15 points, right? 2 touchdowns. There was a 2-point conversion because there was a penalty, which moved the ball closer, and then the Lions ended up going for 2 because why not? Like they did their job, and the offense just let them down as they have so often this year. It is really hard to see it. But unfortunately, because we've been sustaining so many injuries, I don't expect this defense to play to the same level each week now. It's hard to play your heart out when the offense isn't helping, if that makes sense. Like, you go out there and you hold a really good offense to, a few scores, you're getting sacks, interceptions, you're putting your team in a good position to win, and you still lose week after week after week. Like, man, the defense must be feeling incredibly demoralized right now, and I feel for them. They're playing really, really well this year, and they're just not getting bailed out by their offense. The last thing that I really want to touch on is that this offense is just broken. It is broken, and I don't know if there's anything that they can do to fix it at this point. Like, it is just, I don't know if it's beyond fixing. And we might have reached that point in the Rodgers era where, like, this is as good as it gets. And there might have to be some serious changes looking forward. Now, I'll probably have an episode where, I break down potential changes or break down what the future could potentially look like for the Packers. But I'll tell you right now, I don't think that it's pretty. And we are seriously suffering from the drama and everything from last offseason and even the season before that. Like, it is all culminated into this. We signed Aaron Rodgers back. We made all the moves. We traded Devontae Adams away. We supposedly went all in. And here we are sitting at 3-6. You basically have to win out every game just for a chance to make the playoffs at this point. I hate to say it, but I think our season's over. I think the Green Bay Packers are done. They're not mathematically eliminated, but after Sunday's performance, I just don't see them being able to respond. Like, if you can't respond against the 1-6 Lions, how on earth are you going to respond against a legitimate playoff team like the Bills or the Chiefs? Or if I'm going to keep it specific to the NFC, they're about to play the Cowboys. I don't even know if they can, play on par with them right now. This is just a really bad football team right now. And we can hope that things we can hope that things will get better, and we can speculate all we want, but I just think we have to face the reality that this is the 2022 Green Bay Packers. This is the brand of football that they play. It is uninspiring. It lacks any sort of determination, or really, it doesn't demonstrate any ability to respond to adversity. And it sucks, because this is not the team that I'm used to seeing. Like, I'm used to seeing the Packers play dominant football and us win 10 plus games a year and make the playoffs. So it's disappointing, to say the least. And it's definitely, I think, reasonable to temper expectations. But let's just see how this rides out. We do host the Cowboys next week at Lambeau Field. It will be the first game that Mike McCarthy will be coaching in Lambeau Field against the Packers, which will be interesting to watch. And I'll have like a whole breakdown preview episode for that coming up later this week as well. But I just wanted to jump on today and share some thoughts. I know it's kind of been doom and gloom, and I really, really hate to be sitting here talking like this, but as I said earlier, I think that this is our season. I thought if we lost to Detroit that there was no way that we could pull ourselves out of this hole, and I guess we'll see, because we did lose to Detroit. But yeah, that's everything that I had for y'all today. I do want to thank y'all for listening. It really does mean a lot to me. I know, especially right now, it can be hard to listen to someone just complain. Like, I haven't really had much good things to talk about. So with that, I'm just going to wrap it up. I do want to remind y'all that you can find my podcast anywhere on Spotify, Anchor, and YouTube. Please feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe, all those great things. I would really appreciate it. And then another reminder that you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Real Packers Talk. Feel free to send me a DM, let's talk Packers football or something like that. But yeah, that's everything I have for today. I'm going to leave y'all with a Go Pack Go. Peace.